They said the Gripen E would fail a lightweight contender in a heavyweight world. Critics across the defense analysis community painted a grim picture. A small, single-engine fighter from Sweden could never compete with the giants. Modern air combat demanded bigger airframes, heavier payloads, budgets only superpowers could afford. They said Saab was promising too much on too small a platform, that advanced sensors and software would be compromises. Now, operational data flows and export contracts are signed. Those critics watch in stunned silence. The Gripen E has not just survived, it is thriving and sending shockwaves through the established order. This turnaround isn't one breakthrough, it's a different design philosophy. From its very inception, the Gripen E was engineered around a set of principles that stood in direct opposition to prevailing trends in fighter development. While other nations pursued larger, heavier, and often stealth-focused designs, Saab's engineers prioritized affordability, operational flexibility, ease of maintenance. The core design goal was not to build a fighter that could outperform every other jet in every single metric, but to create a balanced and highly capable platform that a sovereign nation could realistically afford to operate in meaningful numbers. This philosophy is built on the understanding that an air force is better served by having a larger fleet of capable modern jets that can fly frequently than a handful of exquisite fighters that spend most of their time in the hangar due to prohibitive costs. This strategic choice is reflected in every aspect of the aircraft's design. The Gripen E is intended to be easy to maintain even in austere conditions, capable of being turned around for another mission by a small ground crew in a fraction of the time required for its larger counterparts. This capability was drawn from Sweden's historic defense posture, which required its air force to operate from dispersed road bases during a potential conflict. The aircraft's avionics are built on an open architecture system. Software mission systems can be upgraded quickly and independently, allowing the jet to adapt to new threats and integrate new weapons without lengthy and costly hardware redesigns. The Gripen E was designed to be a network-centric warrior from the ground up. In modern warfare, situational awareness is paramount. The aircraft excels at gathering data, processing data, and sharing data. Raven ES-05 AESA radar IRST sensor electronic warfare suite. This information is not just for the pilot. The Gripen E shares its sensor data seamlessly with other aircraft and ground assets, making the entire force more effective. Acting as a smart node in a wider network is a key part of its combat effectiveness. At the core of the Gripen E's enhanced performance is its new power plant, the General Electric F414GE39E engine. A derivative of the FA18E-F Super Hornet engine, it provides a significant boost in thrust over the older Volvo RM12. That extra power lets the Gripen E supercruise, supersonic without afterburner, for short periods, even while carrying an air-to-air combat load. It also improves acceleration, climb rate, and the ability to carry more fuel and weapons. That fixes one major complaint about the Gripen CD, limited range and endurance. The aircraft's sensory nervous system is arguably its most revolutionary feature, the Raven ES-05 AESA radar by Leonardo. AESA can track many targets in the air and on the ground simultaneously, while also doing electronic warfare. It also has a very wide field of regard. Complementing it is the Skyward G IRST, a passive heat-seeking sensor that detects targets without emitting radar. Active and passive sensors together give exceptional situational awareness. Radar, IRST, and an advanced EW suite feed a single wide-area display in the cockpit. That intuitive interface simplifies the pilot's workload. Instead of multiple screens, the pilot sees threats, targets, and friendly forces on one tactical map. This sensor fusion is a hallmark of a 4.5 generation fighter and lets one pilot manage modern air combat. The Gripen E carries a wide array of modern weapons. 10 hardpoints for weapons and external pods. It can field BVR missiles like the Meteor. and a variety of precision-guided bombs and ground attack missiles. Open systems architecture makes new integrations faster and cheaper. That keeps the Gripen E adaptable for decades. Just upload new software and qualify new munitions. Ultimately, the Gripen E philosophy is one of pragmatic power. It acknowledges finite budgets and real logistical constraints. The Gripen E's journey from a conceptual design to a frontline fighter is a story of steady, methodical progress that has consistently defied pessimistic predictions. The program officially kicked off with a development contract from Sweden in 2013, followed by a landmark export order from Brazil in 2014. This Brazilian deal was a critical early victory, securing a major customer, establishing a strategic partnership, local production technology transfer. The first flight of Prototype 398 took place on June 15, 2017, transitioning the jet from blueprint to flying machine. That successful first flight silenced many early doubters. Following the initial flight, the test program ramped up quickly, hitting crucial milestones. By 2019, Saab conducted weapons trials, including first firings of the Meteor missile. Those tests proved the radar and fire control could guide a world-class missile. Throughout 2020 and 2021, multiple prototypes flew, accumulating thousands of hours. Test pilots from the Swedish Air Force and the Brazilian Air Force were heavily involved, refining software and the human-machine interface. Late 2021 saw delivery of the first series production jets to Sweden and to Brazil. One of the most disruptive aspects of the Gripen E is its revolutionary approach to cost. In an era of staggering price tags and daunting operating expenses, Saab made affordability a central pillar. The purchase price is significantly lower than heavier European rivals, Eurofighter Typhoon, Dassault Rafale. Public estimates place Gripen E in a more accessible price bracket. This aggressive pricing challenges the industry's incumbents, but the true economic shock is its remarkably low cost per flight hour comparison. Gripen E versus F-35, Typhoon, and Rafale. This metric includes fuel, maintenance, spare parts, and ground support. Independent analyses show a fraction of competitors' costs, often below $10,000 per hour versus 2 to 4 times higher elsewhere. That means more flying, better trained pilots, and higher readiness for the same budget. When placed side by side with its main competitors, the Gripen E's unique strengths become strikingly clear. Gripen E F-16 Block 7072 Rafale Typhoon. A frequent comparison is made with the American F-16 Block 7072, another single-engine global bestseller. While both fall into a similar weight class, the Gripen E is a newer, clean-sheet design for the 21st century. It boasts a more modern airframe, a more advanced electronic warfare suite, a sensor suite designed for network-centric operations from the ground up. While the latest F-16 variants have AESA, the Gripen E's wider field of regard radar and integrated IRST arguably give it a sensory edge. Furthermore, it consistently demonstrates a lower operational cost. The Rafale and Typhoon can carry heavier payloads, fly farther on internal fuel, and have higher thrust to weight, with advantages in climb rate and sustained turn. However, this performance comes at a massive cost, both in acquisition and long-term sustainment. The Gripen E's strategy is not to beat them in a drag race, but to outsmart them with superior situational awareness and electronic warfare at a fraction of the cost. It offers a significant portion of their capabilities for a much smaller investment. One of the most persistent criticisms was that a lightweight single-engine fighter could not host powerful sensors and processing for 4.5 generation warfare. Skeptics argued the airframe was too small for a large AESA without compromises in performance, cooling, and power generation. They said ambitious fusion and sophisticated EW would be unworkable on such a compact platform. Real-world results have comprehensively proven these claims wrong. Saab's campaigns, corroborated by Brazil, demonstrated full sensor functionality. The Raven ES-05 met or exceeded specs, tracking multiple targets at long ranges across a wide field of view. Tests confirmed integration with Skyward GIRST and the advanced EW system. Pilots report exceptional situational awareness on the wide area display, refuting the patchwork claim. Increased weight for a stronger airframe, more fuel, and new landing gear is offset by roughly 20% more thrust from the GE F414. Flight tests show excellent handling across the envelope. Pilots praise responsiveness and energy. The jet gained the range and endurance it lacked before. The success of the Gripen E is sending a strategic shockwave through the global fighter market, challenging the assumption that higher cost equals greater capability. For decades, buy the more expensive fighter because it's more powerful. Gripen E breaks this model by offering a compelling alternative. It provides sensor sophistication, electronic warfare capability, and network-centric operation competitive with top-tier fighters at dramatically lower lifecycle cost. Competitors must justify enormous price tags in true value terms. Nations needing to modernize with constrained budgets now have a credible, high-tech option. Brazil puts Gripen on the regional radar, enabling shared logistics, training, and data link standards. Network effects that freeze out pricier rivals. Upgradability and software-defined capability shift the fight from hardware to software. As a Swedish product, it offers political flexibility without superpower baggage. It empowers smaller and mid-sized nations and reshapes regional balances. In the final analysis, the critics were profoundly wrong about the Gripen E. They called it too small, too modest, too ambitious. But today, the results speak for themselves. Through methodical testing, successful operational deployment, key export wins, the Gripen E has proven that it is a formidable 4.5 generation fighter. In modern air combat, victory is not solely determined by raw speed or payload, but by superior information, advanced electronic warfare, and the ability to adapt faster than the adversary. Its low operating cost is not a sign of weakness, but its most potent strategic weapon, enabling true combat readiness through greater training and fleet availability. The Gripen E is no longer an underdog. It is a predator, and its success is reshaping the very definition of affordable air power. That is why it now scares its competitors. That wins.